All right, I have started the video back, and we will reconvene. It's 12:50. And next up, we have Mid-Cumberland. So if you start, just give us your name for the record.
Sure.
So we are recording the meeting here. So, and then you can go into your request, and I'm sure we'll have questions as you go along.
All right. So I am Sharon McDaniel. I'm the Community Engagement Director at Mid-Cumberland Human Resource Agency, which has multi-programs, but I'm here today representing Meals on Wheels. So Mid-Cumberland Meals on Wheels, what do we do? So we bring home-delivered meals to senior citizens who are vulnerable for a variety of reasons. It could be they can't stand up to prepare a meal, don't have money for food, which is a lot of what we're probably seeing now with inflation. They're just in general poor health. So most of our meals are volunteer delivered. The meals are provide 1/3 of the required daily intake, and they're meat, 2 vegetables, bread, milk, and a dessert. And if you're diabetic, we'll provide a diabetic dessert. We do serve in Gallatin, in Hendersonville. We have 2 meal sites. We do serve Monday through Friday. So that's kind of it in a nutshell of kind of what we do. If I could impart anything today that you take home with you is the demand. The demand has been relentless. If you look back, and I had it in the application, if you look at where we were in FY19 before COVID, we were at about 48,000 meals. We're now doing 86,000. Wow. It is stretching us every which way, just having enough volunteers, enough infrastructure, enough funding. So the demand has really, we'd all hoped after COVID it would go down a little bit. It has not. It has just been relentless. And I think we probably still have somewhat of a waiting list in Gallatin. It really is stretching us with our infrastructure. And we operate in 13 counties. So if you look at us overall, prior to COVID, we were doing about 315,000 meals. We're now doing 500,000. It is just, the demand has been crazy. And it is particularly crazy here in Sumner County. It just hasn't let up. So if I could leave anything with you today, but just to kind of give you a sense of our seniors before I close out. So we asked one of our seniors, so what do you think about the Meals on Wheels? So she drew us this little picture and she wrote this note. The girls and boys who deliver are very friendly. She means the volunteers. And some have become a good friend to me. It makes me want to get out of bed, clean my house a little, and fix my face. And she ends up, oh, happy day. And then we said, well, hey, since you did so good on this one, can you write a note thanking our donors, which is you all. And then, so this is what she wrote. Meals on Wheels, oh, what a thrill when I open my door and y'all give me a meal. I feel good like I knew I would, thanks to the donors.
That's good.
Yeah, so anyway, we got some, I just want to give you a sense of our seniors. They're very sweet and wonderful people, and but she's a character. She's a guy. I was like, that is great. So I've used that all over the place. Meals on Wheels, when you open the door, you get a thrill.
That's good. Hey, Jessica, can you refresh my memory here, remind us again? I know there was some with Mid-Cumberland. They were in the
so
other.
You'll have the ombudsman. You have the dues that we fund, and then what is the other programs that you have that we fund?
That's it, I believe.
Okay.
That we don't ask for, and I'm not sure. Did we ask for ombudsman this year?
You may not.
I don't think we did.
Remember
Yeah,
that one
I don't
in
think
the
we
past.
did.
But anyways, so it looks like that we gave y'all 5,000 already for Meals
Right,
on Wheels.
and said to fill it out again and come back.
Right, for the other 5.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I put
so-
10 on that. Maybe I should have put 5. I don't know.
Well, since we gave you 5 already.
Okay.
Well, yeah, that's whatever the request is what they'll consider your budget. Yeah.
So the amount requested is 10. I'm just trying to get a
Yeah.
feel for, because of the resolution that we have. Have we previously been funding 5 or 10 for Meals on Wheels?
No.
Or we've been
So-
funding 0?
No, not 0.
I think it's
don't-
25.
You have been funding,
It
it
hadn't
looks
been, it's-
like.
Right.
Yeah.
Meals on Wheels is right there, so it looks like it was 2,500, and then it looks like as 22-23 was the first year we gave 5, and then for fiscal year 24 that we're currently in, we give 5, and then they were told to come back to this committee to request more if they
Okay.
wanted it for Meals on Wheels.
Okay. Okay. I got you. That makes sense to me, thank you.
Can I, and I'm sorry if this is repetitive. So you serve 605 Sumner County residents.
Correct.
You said you're in 17 counties, so how many?
No, we're in 13 counties.
13 counties. How many residents do you serve as a whole?
As a whole, I think it's about FY23. I believe we were right at close to 4,000.
Okay. And then this budget that was provided,
It's Sumner County only.
it is Sumner
Yeah.
County. Like, okay.
Help me to understand
Oh,
Ms.
that's a great
Cumberland, and this is for my own
Yeah.
information. You are based in Murfreesboro,
We are based in Nashville.
Nashville. Were you at one time in Murfreesboro?
Well, we have offices pretty much in all of the counties, mainly because of our transportation program. You have to have an office in the county, somewhere to put the vans.
So it's really contracted. It's an organization that has chosen to contract with the federal government for these.
Well, not so much contract, but we get government money. So we get a large from TDOT for transportation, we get a large grant. And I guess you could say it's contracted, but it's really more of a grant. So we have to operate, within the grant and, all the stipulations.
But
that
it's
go
not
with it.
governmental.
No, we are not a governmental agency. It's very confusing. Yeah, so back in 1974, across the whole state, the legislature created what they call human resource agencies. So just like we represent 13 counties, there's one that represents part of West Tennessee, one upper East Tennessee. So all over the state, there's 9 of them, and they represent. And so that's kind of by state statute. Also by the state statute, our board, which is always real confusing for people, it has to be the county mayors of the areas we serve. So we don't really have a lot of leeway in having a fundraising board. It has to be the county mayors. And then we apply for grants, and we have to apply to TDOT for transportation. All of our other programs, we apply for grants. With meals, we do a lot of outside public fundraising beyond, like to individuals. We're right in the middle of doing a direct mail to raise money. So it's a lot of different ways we're bringing in money. But yes, government grants is a big part of what
Well,
we do.
I'm glad to understand that.
Yeah, it's
Never
confusing,
fully
yeah.
understood that.
So 100% of, like this sheet right here,
That's all Sumner
this
County.
is only Sumner
Mhm.
counties, okay.
And your money.
And you
your
say,
funds.
it says city and county, so how much of that 7,500, I guess, this is for fiscal year 24.
Right.
It says 7,500, how much, is that all county or any of the cities also providing funding?
So, I don't know that we've heard yet from Gallatin. And some of the other little towns may give us like 1,000, 1,500, but sometimes we don't know yet what we're getting. Like, we may not come in till like spring of the, next spring.
Okay. So,
Well, we
like
don't
is
get a whole
Hendersonville, like you said, Gallatin, is Hendersonville providing any, or?
Hendersonville does not. But what we do in Hendersonville is, because the church, there's a group of churches that run we run the site, but they provide the funding for the meals in Hendersonville. I think they apply to the city of Hendersonville, so out of deference to them, we don't apply to the city of Hendersonville.
Okay. Okay.
Because it would be like we were fighting against each other for funding, so.
So I'm trying to figure out if we've given 5.
We have.
Okay, and this request is for 10, what, is it just so you just provide more, just goes
Right,
directly
just for
to the
meal,
number
goes
of
to
meals?
food costs.
I got you.
But now, I was thinking I was having to apply for the whole 10 again, because I was
No.
confused. I thought we
Yeah, I
agreed
know
on
what you're
10.
saying, yeah. Yeah.
They agreed on 10, and I thought I was asking for that again. But I understand if you
Well,
don't
so they ask you, I believe, to come back for the
Right.
additional
do
5.
5, and then I
Yeah.
put 10 on there, so
Yeah.
we've already gotten to 5, so I
Yes.
just didn't understand the
Yes.
process.
So your
exactly.
total ask is 10 between the two.
Correct.
So it would be 5.
So if you mark that down to 5, I understand.
Yeah.
No, I got you. And Jessica, what was the actuals in 21, 22?
Well, actual would have been the exact, it's always what they get.
No, at some point you mentioned it was 2,500 and it went to 5.
Oh, so in 22, 23, they got 5, and then in 21, 22, and before, they got 2,500.
Okay, so it was 2,500, And it just went to 5,
in 22, 23, and then in
22,
23,
23.
24, they got 5 again.
Okay, I got you. And so that 5 slid over here for the 10, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone have any other questions for her? Okay.
Well, thank you
Well,
all.
thank you
Thanks
for
for all
coming
you
in.
do.
I appreciate
Our
it.
seniors are very appreciative.
All right.
Thank you.
You have a great rest
Have
of
a
your
good
day.
afternoon.
Appreciate it.
Um,
So we've got recovery court at 1:15, so we're, got some time. So the videos, I'll just keep the video.
my question just was because they're applying to this committee for the first time, would they only be eligible technically for 2,500? Or because they
Well,
applied?
no, I think
No.
that's, in my opinion,
I'm not saying they shouldn't get the amount, I'm just.
Yeah.
Oh,
per
yeah,
the-
no, I know.
in my opinion, per the resolution,
Right,
they were already getting 5,000, so the max, according to the resolution guidelines, just guidelines, that 7,500 should be the
That's what I
appropriate
think, too.
increase.
so.
Because according to the
that'd be
resolution,
2,500 from.
correct.
But,
Yeah, according to the resolution, it's a max of 2,500 as a startup,
Right.
and then a max of 2,500 in any subsequent year. But again, that's just guidelines. We can choose whatever we want to do. But that's the guidelines. So based on the guidelines, the most we should consider to be 7,500 of the 10.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we considered them new since it was new to this committee versus just general fund.
but I do think that that was the idea because they've always gotten, always, like, it's been 100,000, but they did add 5
Yeah.
more on. I mean, it doesn't have to be used for that, but I think that was the intent.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
No pressure. No pressure.
Yeah.
I'm getting all these weird things listed.
As a sidebar, I was just curious, if you add up all the senior specific,
It's like 50 something.
yeah, it's 57,000.
That's
Yeah.
what I was saying, it's a
That's a
substantial part.
request.
That's a
It's like
lot.
she said, it's gonna monopolize a little bit together.
I mean, and if you think next year they all get another 7,500, they're like $65,000 or $100,000.
Well, I mean, that's the request. Like last year, we didn't bump up any of the seniors.
No, I
Yeah.
know, and I
Actually,
know
it
it's,
That's right.
I know it's up for
That's
discussion,
right.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
you're
from that-
right. It did even
I mean,
decrease
because
last year.
like
Mhm.
because at the time, yeah,
Yeah,
well,
we're-
okay,
yeah.
at the time, I know, Portland was renovating,
Yeah, that's true.
but they
That's true.
weren't
They were
really
out of the building
Oh, yeah,
doing
that's
anything.
Right.
while they're renovating.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but that obviously changed on the floor, but that's what
Mhm.
happened in this committee.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how it got raised though. Because remember it was 9 and then they got 10.
Well,
That-
my memory is we voted on 9 to bump it back up, but he stated that the
They
county
did get
sent,
more.
the county sent another 5,000, so
That's
to
what he
get to 10.
said.
That's what he said.
They did.
I don't know.
Because they
You looked
did.
at it, you seen it? You seen it?
Yeah, like I mean, no,
I
it's,
mean, I may be wrong. To me, it just makes sense that we just
Welcome.
I hear you.
voted to go back to the full amount.
Yeah.
But the request may have been to give them another 5.
Right.
Hey, Mr. Ames,
Hello.
how are you doing?
I'm-
You're here for the recovery court, right?
I am.
All right,
Is that all right?
I know we're ready, we're early, but if you're ready, we're ready.
I can talk longer then, right?
There you go. Depends. I may cut you off. But-
Wouldn't be the first time.
Exactly. You doing all right today?
Yes, I'm doing fine.
Excellent,
Good.
Doing
excellent.
fine, thank you. I appreciate y'all. I know it's a sacrifice for y'all. Some of you are supposed to be working and a real job and all that kind of stuff. I appreciate you're doing this. This is our 3rd year coming before you, and we're just delighted. For those of you who don't know what the Recovery Court is, we are actually a foundation that supports the judicial side of it. We come up with an alternative method for, rather than incarceration for somebody that goes before one of the judges, they have sometimes, when they're screened, the ability to go through our program, which usually takes a year and a half, 2 years maybe altogether. The DAs recommend people, their own attorney will do the same thing, and then we screen them as well. For a number of things, it's got to be somebody that really wants to get straight, and but it's also we don't allow any violent offenders or any sexual offenders. Because I'll tell you here in a minute, these folks lived together for a while as part of this program, and we want everybody to be comfortable. During this last year, let me tell you how it works. After the attorneys screen, their attorney, the client's attorney screens, and we screen, they start off usually with some inpatient type help for about usually it's about a month, and then they come to us where we have outpatient program that lasts. They come 3 times a week, 3 hours each time they come. There's lots of drug testing, both scheduled and unscheduled. We have people who are accredited to help them. We have 1 female, 1 male. We generally have maybe 50 people going through this program at one time. We're really excited. At the end of a couple weeks ago, we had 14 graduates, and in May we had 19. That was kind of a record for us. We hold the graduations at the school board's gymnasium, the old Gallatin gymnasium, and it's filled. We had over 350 people at this last one, and it's amazing because it's alum, it's family, interested parties that come to see the graduation. It's hard to leave that without a tear in your eye, I'll tell you. It is really an amazing thing to see. For fun, and we get permission from the clients, we'll put a picture on the screen of their mugshot and then a picture of how they are today. And it's really kind of fun because it's usually a very big difference. After the intensive outpatient program, we have living spaces for these people. About 40% of our clients are female and 60% are male. We have in the Gallatin area accommodations for about 30 people right now. We lease a home, and then we convert it, make it a comfortable place for people going through this program to live with other people who are going through the program and not hanging out with the folks they were hanging out with when they got in trouble. They go to other classes then after that, in addition to the outplacement program. We have, and during that whole time there's counseling. We have Tracy Bryant, who some of you may be knowledgeable of. She's like the main person who counsels with all of these folks. We have a couple of caseworkers too. It's not unusual to find that many of our best employees are people that graduated from the program because they can talk the talk and walk the walk, and they're all accredited. It's not just through our program, they're state and federally accredited as well for the counseling job. Along the way, we also have a family program where a client and their partner and children, if they have any, we meet. There's a 15-week program where we meet once a week, and we have counselors come in, work for the kids up to 3 years old. We have one, and then 3 to like 13, we have another one, and then the family counselors too. And it's really joyful to see these folks get back together, get their families reunited, and our board of directors feeds them, and they have a big party at the end and celebrate what they've gone through. But it's really fun to see them get back together with families. I talked about graduation. One of the things that I'm most proud of, and most of us on our board are proud of, is we have a recidivism rate at General Sessions Court, which is now Judge Blanton, used to be Judge Hunter, and Key McCormick Bryant, our recidivism rate is about 5% for them. In the state's recidivism rate is 47%. That means 47% of the people are going to end up back in jail again, or whatever. And in the country, it's like 76%. So we have a phenomenal rate, 5% for general sessions, 16.5% for criminal court, Judge Gates' group. Those are numbers that we know they're the best in the state. We think they're the best in the country. We haven't been able to prove that. We have a statistical person that works at Ball State, and he gets a lot of numbers together for us. And so we're not sure about the national, but we're definitely sure about
Okay.
the recovery court started in about 2002. If y'all have been around a while, you know, or at least heard of Jane Wheatcraft. She was the judge who helped start the program. And it did very well, but they didn't have enough money to do things that they needed to do. In 2014, I was director of the 2013 Leadership Sumner class, and I said, hey, you guys, when you get through Leadership Sumner, it's just like almost coincidental if you see any of your other friends or other Leadership Sumner people out there, I'd like to see if you would be willing to take on a project where you work together to help something or somebody in this county. And so they agreed, they'd been to recovery court as part of their traversing around the county. They decided to do recovery court. And they were obligated to work on it, or they were requested to work on it for 3 years. Well, it's been almost 10 years, it's been 9 years, and a great deal of our board is still Leadership Sumner people. So really, really proud of that. In 2014, we kind of kicked it back in and started doing things we could to help them get more people through the program. And it's been very successful. Besides the recidivism rates, one thing I hope you all will be very happy with is we saved citizens of Sumner County $1 million last year. Because if you take what the cost is of them being in jail, which is where they would have been, there's that much savings involved. Plus, we help them get driver's licenses, education, GED, or whatever they need. We help them get a job. So they become tax-paying citizens pretty quickly after they get into our program. The housing thing is, I said we had about 30 places for the men and the women. We just got a state grant that we're working with, where we bought another house in Gallatin. We've never bought anything before, we've always had the lease. And this house we're remodeling and making it a nice home for 8 women. And so we'll be up to 38 people we'll be able to house. My next project that I've been imploring the board to do, and they're all for it, is to come up with some housing for women who are either pregnant or have children. We've used Grace Place a little bit. We've done some other kinds of things with an outfit out of Madison, but we don't really have a good place for women with children to go through this program. So that's our next project. We have a side gig too, just for whatever it's worth. We had an opportunity a few years ago to get a grant from the state for re-entry, where it had nothing to do with drugs directly, but it gave us an opportunity. We hired a man and a woman to go into the jail and talk to people who are getting ready to get out of jail, to give them everything we could to keep them from ending up back in jail. You know, the old revolving door, most of these, it's amazing how many people end up going right back into it again. So that's, in a nutshell, what we're doing. We're changing a lot of lives, and we're getting people to be citizens of our county again, and it's productive citizens, and it's kind of a neat deal.
So I've got a question here, looking at your 23-24 budget. Looks like you've got revenues or income coming in at 414 and expenses at 383. So I'll use the word surplus, but basically you've got 31,515 more additional funding over your expenses. Am I reading that right?
Actually, I think it's a little bit more than that. Two
Is it?
things. Number one is the 414 was with the anticipation that the reentry program, the state advised us that that program was dead. And about a month and a half ago, they came back and said, "Oh, we're just kidding." We'd already told our employees that they were gone, that they didn't have a job anymore. But luckily, they said we could have the program for another year, and both of those people came back. So there's even a little more money. What the grant pays for is about 85%. I will say this too. I don't know if you're going to ask the question, but I want to answer a question. Our classrooms and our offices, our board leases, and now in this one case now we bought one. So, for instance, the room where we have the intensive outpatient classroom, our rent on that was $800 a month. It's right across from the jail. Some of you might know where it's at. It went up to $1,500 and a month, and then the houses that we're leasing and so forth, that put up people, most of those have gone up significantly as well. So, and then we took on the mental health court. I was telling you how many people. I think we graduated 41 people this year so far with 2 graduations. Mental health is now under our umbrella, and so we're helping them financially and administratively, and that's Key McCormick Bryant for the most part, and she's going to graduate 8 people by the end of this year. She's already graduated 6. So that program's going pretty well too, and is, you know, if you pay any attention to the news and what's going on, and mental health is a huge problem now in addition to the drugs.
So so it sounds like there'd be a minimum surplus or whatnot of that 31.5. I don't guess it shows like what is the plan for that? Is that 31.5 being put into like a reserve account?
Yeah. we
And
have a
then
money
like
market.
what is that money going to eventually do?
Okay, our places like Memorial Foundation, where we get some of our funding, recommend very strongly, almost insist on you having a minimum of 3 months backup.
Oh, okay.
And so we do that. The other part of it is that if we lose any of these grants, a lot of people that are working on the judicial side and then on our foundation side, we have 5 employees. You don't ever know when those grants are going to go away, and should they go away, then we also have a reserve.
I got you.
If it's a good program to keep it.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, that makes sense. Anyone have any additional questions for Mr. Ames? All right. Well, I thank you for coming today.
Well, thank you all.
It's always good to see you both. So,
Very good information.
Well,
Great work.
Yes.
I have, I'm chairman of the Greater Nashville Regional Council Committee on Aging and Disability,
okay.
and I'm now aged and I'm disabled. So I have an Uber driver who doesn't charge very much, thank you. He just likes me for my money and my good looks. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
I will, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. So Salvis Center is next. at 1:30. There doesn't look like they're here.
She's outside there.
Oh, is she?
Jennifer?
Okay, well, if you
Yeah.
see her, you can bring her in.
Yeah.
They were leaving out there at the main chamber.
Oh, was that,
They've been there a little while, so yeah, so we might wanna, I'll go
oh,
out there.
there were supposed to be signs at the, he said that they may have been waiting at the main chamber.
Oh, I put signs at the chambers.
It's on the doors.
You sit at the chamber.
Like, I put them on the door at the chambers,
Hey.
signs, saying that we'd be meeting in here.
And she probably does have it, I just think that would be one part of the budget itself. Well, yeah, and I mean, it would be nice to know, I'm sure there's other ones that are positive net
Mm-hmm.
when all is said and done, and do they really need our help or not?
Right. No, absolutely.
Hey, Jessica, do you know why, I'm just looking, did the Sumner spay and neuter, did they give a reason why they did?
We were talking about it earlier.
We've asked.
Sorry, I
They
think you
just,
were,
I must
they
have been
didn't.
outside.
I think you were in the restroom or something.
Okay.
Slowly.
I haven't heard not one thing from them, and I said I was shocked.
We're
that
all
they
pretty
didn't.
shocked.
I can text Sarah Femley and ask her how to do
No, I mean,
Yeah, like, that's why I didn't reach out, because then I'd have to reach out to like, other
Yeah.
colleges, and
Oh,
then
They-
it would get late.
They got a big grant this last year that was specific to like the spay and neuter of certain breeds, and so they've been really focused
Yeah.
on that. So,
hello,
How are y'all today?
fine, how are you?
We have 3 of us today.
Excellent, excellent. So as y'all are walking up the table, yeah, just, if you can start up just where we are recording it, and if you can just give us your names, and then, you know, give us an update how things going at the Salva Center, and then, tell us about their, I'm sure we'll have questions as you go along.
excuse me.
Yes. Well, we have some, I'm Jennifer Flanagan, formerly the president and CEO of the Salva Center, currently a redevelopment director at Neighborhood Health. And this is part of our very exciting news.
I'm Bill Graves. I'm the Secretary Treasurer of the Board for South Center.
Hi, I'm Marie Bigham. I'm the Chief Human Resources Officer with Neighborhood Health.
I'd like to pass around to you, if you would. This is a letter with the messaging and understanding of what's occurring that the board chair of Neighborhood Health and the board chair of Salvas, I suppose I could have done this less one-on-one, have signed to show what is occurring. So basically, we're very excited to say that in 2022, we did an in-depth strategic planning session, and we had it professionally facilitated by Joe Saig, and we really went into what can we do to look at what's happening in healthcare, where hospitals are purchasing doctors' practices, what's happening with patients, where we're getting so many more people in the county with and without insurance, and what's happening in the public, where we have acute care clinics and we have other clinics that might be different locations for folks to sort of one shot rather than, as we like to say, have preventive care and build that relationship. So we had five prongs that we looked at. And as we really got into that, we realized that in order to do this with all of the changes that are occurring, and let's, as you know more than anyone at this table, because of what you've been doing, especially today, the demand for money has gone up about 300% from different nonprofits. We used to see 15, 12 years ago, there wasn't as much duplication of service, but now we see that. And so how can we best serve the county? Most importantly, how can we best serve our patients? How can we maintain high patient quality care for those who are uninsured, or as the United Way puts in the Alice gap, that's between the federal poverty level and 200% above the federal poverty level. And we know that's affected us in Sumner County. Well, it came down to we need to merge with a different organization that's funded a little bit differently. Salvus is funded 90% by donors and grants, exactly, and 10% patient fees, because we believe patients have ownership. And we talked about that last year when Tom was here, and we talked about all that. But what we really need is more sustainable revenue. And also, that's one piece. But second was resources, transportation, access, imaging, lab work. We had relationships with hospitals based on their own business entities, you know, hospitals being purchased by venture capitalists, other businesses, no longer wanted to really honor discounts that we had. When Shelley Ames and Dr. Hill first came together, and Bill's been on the board for, I don't even know when Bill's not been on the board. But when they came together, we were able to have Salvus as a great foundation 18 years ago, where 120 to 150 doctors and specialists said, you know what, I own my practice, I can make this decision, I'm going to treat your patient either free or at a Medicare or below rate. So this, and we will do payment plans. And that way we can get that done. Because as anyone in this room who's been to a specialist knows, it's not one visit. It's follow-up, and there you go from there. That has since gone to the wayside. And the second thing that we're looking at in terms of access is transportation. You know, we don't have necessarily public transportation yet. Now, I'm going to make a plug, I hope you don't mind, is that Community Life Bridge. We've worked with Lauren, Salvus did, to help our seniors and help get to their appointments. And which brings me to seniors. And you know, Medicare has great benefits, but it also has some loops. And we have some folks who don't qualify for Medicare because they have their own personal situations, or they have or haven't been in a position to qualify. So if you add those factors up, change in the healthcare system, doctors no longer being able to say, yes, I'm going to do that surgery on the hip. We had a hip surgery we talked about last year where this gentleman, self-employed, owned contracting business, started having pain, worked through it, then he really couldn't walk. We had the doctors, anesthesia, the hip providing group, all came together. We were able to get surgery. Today, that means going through the administration of the hospital to get those approvals. The doc can't just say, yes, I'm going to put that here. So that means a long, involved process for those kinds of patients, and that doesn't necessarily coincide with the direct, immediate care they get. So, which brought us to, well, so who do we first of all, any questions on that point? Happy to answer them. Second, now as we go forward, so who do we merge with to maintain our integrity, to maintain our faithfulness, to maintain our commitment to the high quality of service to our patients, and most importantly, to steward our dollars well. Because as you know, you've seen our financials, you know our audits have never had an exception. Our treasurer has been right on top of that as he inherited that role as our past president, by the way. And so where can we go so we're maintaining and serving in the same perspective and philosophy our patients? And we found that with neighborhood health, we've had a relationship. When I first came on board and I was brought aboard, I first met Brian Hale, who's this president CEO of Neighborhood Health. And we can absolutely email you his bio. He has a tremendous background in this arena, having served with TennCare, having served with the population, and having grown Neighborhood Health, which is a federally qualified clinic. Now, as a caveat, sometimes people hear federally qualified clinic, well, that's deep pockets of federal dollars. Not necessarily, because one thing Neighborhood Health does to solve our access problem, where we can get appointments, to solve our imaging issues, where people can get blood work, where they can get affordable blood work, where they, you know, if you go now to get your blood panels, I don't know if anybody's had a physical lately, that's a couple $100s, where they can't afford that. So we're to get your CT scans, or to get your any type of imaging you need, your PET scans if you have cancer. Well, that's what they offer, and they offer it to 90,000 patient encounters last year, and 250 employees. And we have with us today Marie Bigham, who has an extensive biography herself, is the Chief Human Resource Officer, and can tell me, because I'm learning everybody over there, but can tell me when I say, well, what about this person or this direction? She knows immediately, there's no hesitation, let me look that up on my computer. Well, talk to Jane Smith, or this is their background, or this are the 11 clinics, this is the ones you want to look at or head to make sure we could go forward. So neighborhood health surfaced as the place to go. 30,000 patients, 90,000 encounters, however, handled just as we handle our patients. They are handled with quality. I have been there 4 months. I can personally attest to the fact. I've been near the call center. I wanted to hear, as I do, I want to hear the different parts of it. I want to really understand it and believe in it. And when I made the decision in June to go over to help the merger from that side, I really wanted to understand in depth. Now you're on the other side of the table, right? And people don't know you're on the other side of the table, they just know you're there. But to hear the quality and their voices, to hear the patients, the triage nurse, I've sat in her office, there's a specific triage nurse, which one of our nurses would function as a triage nurse, but they are able to have departments and have a triage department. The kindness, compassion, and care, but the professionalism in getting, as we do, get the rapport, get the trust, get what really the problem is, and let's match that problem with the solution with the provider. That is what neighborhood does efficiently. So we're here today to share that we have the merger, but also to share that Gallatin still needs Sumner County. And we need that funding because we need to bring to the table our funding. Neighborhood doesn't have excess funding. They do responsibly, as we would do, and have 6 months operating in the bank, which all of y'all like to see. They have that, but they are not extraneous with funding. They are continually looking at how do we reduce costs, how do we maintain, and their IT department is unparalleled in terms of security and HIPAA, and also making sure all patients can get the information to where they go. I've become good friends with the referral nurse, and she's quite busy, but she's also she's in a secure room. It's incredible. So, but we do need that, and I'm over talking both because I'm so excited about this. I think this is really great for us, and it's great for Sumner County, and it's great for our patients because we know all the people coming in. We know the people with health care, and we're very happy now that it's children. We can serve children, we can serve teens, we can serve people with insurance, and though 53% of the patients at neighborhood health, actually 65% this last month, are uninsured, we also can take those with insurance. So our patients who were really sad when they had to leave us because they had Medicare insurance because Salvus was uninsured, now we can keep them. They can have that continuum of care, and they don't have that psychological disruption that sometimes happen. And of course, we stayed with them from Salvus and made sure they were good, but now we can just stay with them. So that's where we are. So families can come, etc. So that's what Salvus is looking at.
So is Salvus the name going to stay around, or is it going to be
The
neighborhood?
Salvus name will stay,
Mhm.
our location will stay. We have an agreement for 7 years
Mhm.
at least. And that was one of the reasons we went with neighborhood, where they were willing to protect what we've grown over the last 15 or so years.
Mhm.
And representing for the board, because I was on the board, but of course not a voting member as not on the board, but Bill was, and Shelley. And so there was great discussion, great deliberation over a period of time. This was a key factor. This was like a showstopper for Salvus. Legends have been built, foundation has been built, trust has been built, and that is going to go
I
forward.
think one of the frustrations, I would say, as a board member over these many years is that we always had aspirations of being able to grow. We wanted to get into Portland, we wanted to have a clinic in Portland. We had to withdraw from Hendersonville because we couldn't afford to run the 2 clinics. We for a time got into dental, but partnered with Hope Clinic out of Westmoreland, and then about 2 years after we did that and they took it over, they said, well, we just can't operate it, it's too difficult, we can't keep a provider in there. So when you look at neighborhood and everything that they provide, they have dentists that work for them. They're not volunteering, they're working there. it's prenatal care, it's all the things that we wanted to get into, but really just couldn't get enough money together in our fundraising to be able to expand to any great degree. And now we're gonna be able to provide that care. And that's why we got it. That's why Ted Hill got into it all those years ago, is he just wanted to take care of people. And now we're gonna be able to do that to a much greater extent.
And you say you take children.
Yes,
Has that always been the case, or is that new?
That is fairly new,
Okay.
because it was the working uninsured.
Sure. Right.
Working uninsured, now once the uninsured person became a patient, then we could treat the whole family.
Right. Okay. Got it.
And let me get to-
I got you. So, in children, you take care of from common cold to.
Absolutely. I'd like to share with you what actually, it's, when I first heard him say this, I thought, oh, that's innovative. I wasn't sure, I thought I knew where it was headed, but when he did it, I saw it. So, if you'll indulge me, put your fingers here. Can you feel your pulse? You feel that? That means you can be a neighborhood health Salvis patient. You have a pulse, you can be a patient.
Good.
Uninsured, insured. Child, pregnant, infant, all the way through the continuum of life, you can be insured. We would help find mothers and children through TennCare and get them there, but we couldn't necessarily cancer patients, get them through the next step. Salvage has great care coordination to get on to the next step that you need. But now at Neighborhood Health, there's a team to get you within the organization. One thing I've been very impressed with is every third Friday is the all-staff meeting. I get the thirds and the fourths, but all 250 people are brought together to hear from the CEO, to hear from the chief medical officer, the CIO, and to hear from about finance, but also to break out and have one-on-ones and group within providers, the customer service, whatever your department is, you now are talking best practices, you're talking issues that can move and be resolved. So, and Marie, if you'd like to add anything along those lines.
Great job.
I have a question. So I looked up neighborhood health. You have 11 centers,
Yes.
and one's in Sumner County, which
Sumner
is your
County is the
Gallatin.
addition. Yes, there are 10 in Davidson. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
10 in Davidson, one in Lebanon, which is going gangbusters, and then Salvis will be added. Then you have also, one of the things that also led Neighborhood to really have a strong talk with us was that they were getting patients in the Madison Clinic from that side of Sumner County. Because remember, transportation's a problem. People being able to get to appointments is a problem. And so you have mental and behavior health, you have prenatal care, you have orthopedic, you have any specialty we can get you to or we can do. So
And I might
that's
be
a good question.
I might be misremembering. You were here last year.
Yes, that is correct. That was remembered correctly.
That's the next part that I'm not sure if I have the right organization.
No, I'm happy.
You additionally, outside of, didn't you grow food
Yes,
at a garden?
we did. Thank you for asking. Those gardens are strong. The First United Methodist Church, Dr. Spencer and and Grace Tompkins, they head up the clinic. They head up the garden.
And
Gardens
is
are
that
still there.
something you can plan on continuing?
Yes, nutrition grants, and you come to. That's also we get powers of what do you call them? Powers of scale to have that leverage to get additional funds. But nutrition, we are definitely focused on nutrition because that doesn't change. Your BMI affects all of the other disease metrics, and so we need good nutrition. We need less salt and sugar. The basics we've been doing continue to go, and Grace has been in the garden all summer. So, and in the fall, we haven't planted fall root vegetables yet, but that'll come and that'll follow.
And then I guess my last question, just as part of our due diligence, do you have any budget or actuals from previous years that you could share with us from Neighborhood Health?
We can get you all of that. In fact, if you go to, I'm sorry, again, excited. If you go to givingmatters.com, you will see, that's with the Community Foundation, you will see all the budgets in 990s for the decades past. And this is a 38-year-old organization, 40-something years old organization, started by Mary Buffwack. who has a PhD in this arena and is still a member of the board. But yes, please go to givingmatters.com, and then we'll be happy to email you anything you would like to see as well.
So is Salvus, is it 100% Sumner County?
100% Sumner
100%.
County.
Okay, so even with this new organization?
Well,
I don't know. I mean, they may reach out. For instance, they have the Lebanon Clinic,
Mhm.
and we're really close to the line. So
Mhm.
if a Lebanon person, if a Wilson County person wanted to come up, we would probably serve them.
Mhm.
But you know, it's not as populated,
Mhm.
northern part of Wilson County, so I don't know if we would have that location on.
Okay.
and again,
It's not gonna be part of.
So I saw on this that your actual merger date is the end of the year, correct?
yes, that's when the final articles are filed. It has been approved by the AG.
So when you applied your fiscal year in 6/30, so is this budget would not be correct moving forward then, as of December?
As of December, was the budget created? Bill can speak to that as the treasurer.
It was just to December.
So if you'd like to have subsequent documents, certainly that can be provided. Yvonne Figueroa's the CFO and quite talented. But if I'm understanding the question, and please correct me if I'm not, patients, in Sumner County, right now Salvus is 100% Sumner County. With the distance between Salvus and Madison, and the distance between Salvus and Lebanon, even when we've tried to get patients to specialists, even that distance, it's been a challenge. So I think it's reasonable to project, not a guarantee, but reasonable to project, you're gonna see predominantly Sumner County people in the Gallatin Clinic, simply because that its transportation is such an issue. But what you can be sure of is if you decide, and you don't have to do this because neighborhood can allocate the funds, you call, you want to be a patient, they say, where do you live? Here's the clinic closest to you. Let's get you an appointment. But if you choose, you can go to any clinic in the system and you can get that appointment immediately. You don't have to reapply, you don't have to re-register. If you need to go, let's say now you're at Salvus, but you need special prenatal care and that's in a different clinic, they'll set you up right away. They'll give you a voucher to get there, but your still home clinic is in Gallatin.
I'm gonna have to cut us
Okay,
off.
there you
for
go.
that. So, but thank you very much. Definitely appreciate y'all coming in and speaking.
Appreciate it.
So how do y'all feel about this as we head out? Do you have any instant sort of thoughts?
I'm not sure. We're gonna deliberate at the end of the day. We got a busy
Okay, good.
thing. But so this is a subcommittee of our budget committee,
Yes.
and then it will go beyond that to the full commission. So.
Well, you have our cell phones, so if you have any questions as you go forward, I know it's a lot to absorb.
Mhm.
Please do reach out.
Okay.
More than happy to
All
get
right.
you.
Well, thank you very much.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Next up, Grace Place Ministry.
Also, Salus will continue to partner with the
I do the seedlings for the garden.
I know. Oh, that's right. Right, she works with Grace to do the seedlings.
I do, because I became a master gardener and was so thrilled to be able to serve in that way.
That's right.
Um,
And we provided cribs for newborns.
Right, and I am with Grace Place, but I do want to share some perspective just really quick. I lived just over the bridge in Wilson County. Lebanon was 25 minutes away from me. I did everything in Gallatin. So I just think that helps you explain why a Gallatin clinic might serve people outside of Sumner County. Because I mean, my whole life was still here in Gallatin. I shopped at Gallatin Walmart, but I lived technically across the river in Wilson County. But I didn't do anything in Wilson County because of the distance. Sorry.
Thank you.
Wanted to share that. I love you, and I'm so grateful for y'all.
You too.
Okay. Thank you so much for even considering and allowing me to come talk about Grace Place and the South Center.
So if you go ahead, because we are recording this video and audio, if you just go ahead and state your name and then tell us what's been going on in the Grace Place and what your request is. I'm sure we'll have questions. So.
Sure. My name is Dinesh McCleve. I'm the founder and executive director of Grace Place. Grace Place is a shelter and life restoration program long-term for women and children in Sumner County who are experiencing homelessness. And so they come to us, they're with us anywhere from 6 to 18 months because we want to make sure that once we journey with a family, that homelessness is a thing of the past. We never wanted to be a Band-Aid. We wanted to make sure that it was not something that recurs in their lives. So our program is equipped to take them from crisis all the way to stability, meaning when they come to us, they are homeless, and we do take them all the way to transitioning them into housing. And whether that, we do have a graduate program where we can extend a year of our services, but they live in their own apartment for an additional year, or we permanently place them somewhere else in the county. Sometimes it's through private landlord relationships that we have, and sometimes it's just because they got really great opportunity somewhere that they looked and applied for to rent. So our program, our mission statement is empowering single mothers in need and their children toward developing healthy, safe, and independent lives in the community. So our whole program is through those three things: health, safety, and independence. So they'll secure transportation with us, they'll secure employment with us, they'll pay off all their threatening debt and restore their credit scores with us. They also go through and have access to all of our collaborative partners for peer and professional counseling if that's needed, for any kind of medical or health treatment. We make sure that that gets taken care of for all mothers and kids. And when they leave, essentially, they've reduced or eliminated every single barrier that they have to remaining and sustaining independence. And so far, over 8 years of us serving in Sumner County, we do have an 87% success rate of our graduates remaining independent in the community, and we're really excited about that. But that's more of a testimony to the strength and character of these women who come through the program and use this opportunity to better their lives and make sure that they never have to experience something like this again. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. As far as what we've been up to, we have a great big expansion plan. We purchased 4.5 acres last year in Hendersonville, and we're going to build 43 cottage-style homes on our campus, and we're going to have our own education building for our families. That's the future, and that program, we will have 13 of those homes for our current crisis to stability program that we operate now. And then the additional 30 homes that we plan on building are going to be a new arm of our programming that we've never been able to offer, but has always been part of the original vision, which is those mothers will come and live at Grace Place for 2 to 4 years, and they'll be able to choose whether they want to work on some type of licensing or trade certification, or they can choose to do an associate's or bachelor's degree, or they can just choose to save up for a home and then transition from our cottage style homes, our campus, to their own home. And the whole point of that is that so at some point through our program, they're acquiring a true asset, which is the only known real game changer for the cycle of generational poverty. So that's why that program is set up that way. We're very excited and honored to do what we do in Sumner County. And at that point, I will open it up for questions.
Do you guys have a financial advisor?
We have an investment advisor, yes. And then we have 3 accountants who oversee
You have a good investment advisor.
and advise everything.
So, first of all, hey, glad you're here. So that was one thing I noticed. I'm assuming the investment is more to save for the current or the future project, because obviously that's not going to be cheap. So we're trying to stash money away right now so that later we can build the
So we have
cottages.
been very blessed in all the years that we have operating. We have always had a net revenue that we have been able to invest. And the hope is that we will continue doing that because we want our money to work for us, just like any business does. But yes, I mean, you know, I have officially started our capital campaign for our new campus. And so any extra that we raise that we've been able to invest, a certain part of that, of course, will go to offset the expense of expanding.
Okay.
Hopefully, it won't. Hopefully, it's going to sit right there in that account and grow.
Yeah.
Where is the, did you say how many cottages? 40 cottages?
43.
43? Is it on is the land surrounding your current, or is it off campus type thing?
So our current campus, no. So once we get our first phase done of our expansion, we will actually sell our current property and use the proceeds of that to go towards the.
So then you'll be, okay, so ultimately you'll have one large campus.
Right.
Okay, I got you. Where is the new campus? Is that
It is
public?
at 126 New Shackle Island in Hendersonville.
Okay,
It's right across from John Deere, if you know where that is.
okay.
Our
okay.
neighbors are Serve Pro with all the development that's going on Innovation Way right there. Word on the streets is that we're gonna have a groomer neighbor too, that'll be fun. And then it also, on the other side of the property is Lakeview Church of Christ.
Okay. Anyone have any more questions for her?
Is that where the old house is?
Yes, the cottage house.
Will you keep that?
There were a group of precious women really fighting and trying to make sure that we at least looked into that. So we did look into that. There is absolutely nothing salvageable about that original home. So we are not going to be keeping it, but we are going to keep like some of the materials and put them in our building, hopefully in our administration building and our education building, just to honor the history of Harvey Farms. And there's also 2 family cemeteries in the corner of the property too that we plan to obviously maintain and keep up.
How many families are you serving right now?
Right now, so our capacity is 8 total between our shelter, our shelter program and then our graduate program.
Okay.
How many inquiries do you, for lack of better terminology, do you get? Like, could you serve more?
So until 2022, we always landed between 150 to 200 applications a year. Now in 2022, we reached 392. And this year we are far outpacing that number.
So the need is there.
Yeah,
sure.
and that shouldn't be surprising to anybody with the cost of housing.
Yeah.
In the way, and just the fact that the whole profile of our families has changed drastically.
So, the deadline to submit for this was October 1st. Do you know, can you give us a reason why you missed that deadline?
Somebody from the committee the year before had contacted us to go ahead and submit, and I was not aware that I needed to be keeping up with that. It was totally an oversight on my part. I just wasn't aware that I needed to keep up with that on the website. And so I was contacted this year, and I'm very grateful for that.
Okay. Okay. Well, we are, just like we have, because I know I don't know how many years we have been providing funding, but, so we're a subcommittee of the budget committee, so we'll end up making recommendations to them and then on to the full commission, and so probably be toward the end of the calendar year before anything's communicated back, so.
Okay. I appreciate you even considering it when I was past the deadline.
Mhm.
That will not happen again.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cumberland, are you Cumberland Prices? Yes, okay, Prices.
Like you guys scheduled these very perfectly. A lot of
Y'all love each other.
we
I'm feeling line.
we align
Yeah, yeah.
on a lot of the same people that
That's
we're
great.
hearing for. So
So yeah, so as we start off, we are recording video and audio, so just give us your name for the record and tell us what all's going on at the Cumberland Crisis Pregnancy Center, and I'm sure we'll ask questions as we go along.
sounds great. My name's Melissa Meyer. I'm with the Cumberland Crisis Pregnancy Center. I'm the assistant director here. Been there for 18 years. The center itself has been caring for people in this community for over 37 years. And we have the 3 main programs. We have our pregnancy program, we have an abortion recovery program, and we also have our sexual risk avoidance program in the middle and high schools in Sumner County. I think one of my greatest joys with being a part of the program is that when somebody is experiencing one of the most scary events of their life, it's a pregnancy that was not intended. It's a very private experience. Maybe there's no one else in their life that knows what's going on. No one. And so the fact that there is a building, a place that is so intentionally private, set apart, intended to be a place of peace, to where they can come, take the time that they need to really process how this will change their life, how important the life that they're carrying matters in this world, and how their life matters. And they're absolutely facing very, very difficult circumstances. But adding the pregnancy to that may seem like that is an unbearable experience for them. And we just want to be a beacon of hope and let them know that there is a way through this. And so we genuinely walk with these women from the moment that they're finding out that they're pregnant until many years beyond the pregnancy. Typically the material assistance, the items that we can provide to help them. I mean, the amount of hope that comes in literally a pack of diapers when you have nothing to put on your child, or a can of formula when you don't know where the next meal is coming from, is life to them. And they'll go without, but their babies won't go without. And so if we've sat in front of them in that moment of them making a pregnancy decision, we say, we're going to be here for you. We're going to be there for them. And so I love just the fact that this has such a long-standing relationship in this community. We're so thankful for the support of Sumner County. But even just recently, I had a mom call me, literally, it was last week, and she said, I didn't think you'd still be there, but I came there over 14 years ago when I was pregnant with twins. She said, and I want you to know that my life looks completely different now. And we are so thankful for your support and for your care. And so, you know, I got to actually be at the hospital with her when her baby was born. So it's a legacy that lives far beyond that moment of finding out that you're pregnant or, you know, trying to make that decision. Are there any questions that you might have for me in regards to that?
You have 4 full-time staff and 1 part-time?
Yes. Well, yes. And then the budget, we're budgeting for 6 full-time and 1 part-time. We're definitely seeking qualified staff. We're small but mighty, I would say.
Where are you all located?
We're at 2229 Nashville Pike, and it's near Kroger Marketplace, between Chocolate Covered Strawberry and Kroger Marketplace.
Oh, okay, yes,
or
ma'am.
Kroger Marketplace.
I got you. Trying to see. What's, oh, there it is, my bad. I'm just reconciling numbers here.
It's not
Sure.
down.
What, anyone down there, anyone over there have any questions? Mr. Ryan, you have any questions?
No, I'm just consulting with the financial guy if I'm reading it correctly.
You'll probably hit me in my area of weakness. I'm the one who cares for the clients, but I'll do my very best to answer those financial questions. Last year alone, we served 1,130 individuals, so that is women, fathers, and mothers, fathers, and their children as well. So it's a significant number of people, and we're continuing to walk with them.
Are your employees, what kind of training do they have to have in order to?
The bachelor's degree as far as their formal education, but the training regarding caring for clients is done in-house. So we're a member of CareNet. And so most of our training materials come from them. And it's really been a long, extensive training, so they shadowed for quite a bit as well.
So when you have the number that says Sumner County residents served of 5,766, you're counting mother, child, father,
And
grandparents.
Yes.
You're just counting whoever comes in for some type of counseling, some kind of service.
That encompasses all of our programs, so that's also the students that we're speaking to in the Sumner County schools as well.
Got it.
Yes.
It's
And
just
that's an
all inclusive.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
What kind of programming are you doing in the schools? I mean, obviously I know the general idea, but I mean.
Sure. So it's an age appropriate. So we do 6th, they're all different presentations. So 6th, 7th, 8th grade for middle school. So the 6th grade presentation is really about each one communicates their value in words. So it's helping them evaluate their emotions, because there's a lot that goes on in a sixth grader during those years. Seventh grade is valuing their future, so helping them recognize the relationship with the choices ultimately that they make in their relationships and with their body has an impact on their future. And then the eighth grade is really about valuing their health, and so we really do discuss sexually transmitted infections. And then once we're in the high school level, it's really all of those just expanded. So healthy versus unhealthy relationships, risk of teen pregnancy, again, STIs, expanding on that and the impacts it has in so many ways.
I do have one question about your budget. There's a line item on expenditures, it's building and property. It's high, it's $481,000. Is that rent you pay?
No, our property is completely paid off. However, COVID really allowed us to recognize just all the potential uncertainty that can come financially, and so the board set aside designated funds for capital reserve improvements to the physical building.
To the tune of $480,000 in a single fiscal year?
And yes, that's the amount of improvements that are scheduled for that budget year, yes. Or set aside for that.
The whole thing is set aside for that?
Yes, it's set aside for that, and it rotates. If an improvement isn't needed in that year, then we
roll it to the next year.
Yes, exactly. So there's constant improvement that's needed on the building.
So you have the large house, and then is there like property around it? How much property is around it?
I think we have about 11.5 acres total.
So it's upkeep for that whole area. That's a pretty big area.
Yes, and we've recently, we moved in 2010 with some renovations, and we certainly didn't, we did it as economically as we could, but there are things like IT that's being updated, and just electrical, and because it was a very, very old building.
I see the IT is a separate line item.
From a cash flow standpoint, like how much cash on hand or whatever do you all have?
I don't have my balance sheets in front of me. Sorry, I'm not the finance person for that. Actually, we've got, let me pull this from our audit that you guys have on file.
Because if that amount sort of rolls over each year, it probably, well, I'm assuming it just goes into, a cash fund or whatnot.
Yeah, so in our audit that you guys have for 2022, the total assets were the $3,196,000, and so that's including the land. And sorry, last year I was able to bring my finance person with me.
No, you're fine.
Let's see. So yeah, we have several in investments as well. So on the audit, it's the cash on hand that we had was the $2,160,874.
$2,160,000, okay. And how much are you requesting this year?
So we are requesting what we received last year, $8,500, respectfully, but we completely understand.
And what is that amount going to be used for?
That will be used for our general programming, so the pregnancy program and the SRA program as well. So programming.
Okay.
Because it really is practicing presence. It's a ministry of presence, and so it's people-driven work in that way. So when our presenters or in the classrooms are also the people who are meeting with our clients as well.
Okay. Anyone have any additional questions? All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's harder to meet with you guys than it is someone who's scared in a moment of crisis.
Don't be scared about it.
Yeah, don't be scared of us. We're here for you. So from a committee standpoint, we've got Community Life Bridge at 2:15, and then Monhaven at 2:30.
That's amazing.
Doesn't appear either one is here right now.
That's amazing.
We are a little early. So the video is still rolling, just as, I don't want to stop and, I guess, why don't we just stop the video for a little bit, because it's just to cut it up in segments. And then we'll reconvene when the next people show up, so.